Hello, Michelle. Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to have you on today.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Mandy. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you. I'm so excited for our topic too of repurposing content effectively, work smarter, not harder. So before we get into all of that, introduce yourself and share with everyone listening what it is that you do.
Awesome. Nice to meet you and nice to meet everybody as well. My name is Michelle Lange. I'm the owner of a small social media management boutique agency in London, Ontario. I primarily help small businesses, service-based businesses managing their content online through strategy, but also through making sure that we are reaching their ideal audience and also connecting with their current audience that they already have.
Yes, beautiful. Okay, let's dive right in.
Yes.
Repurposing content. You have like an amazing method. We talked before this, so I'm ready for you to share the magic and really give relief to people about how easy it actually is to repurpose content and take things maybe that you've already made or even make one piece and spread it across all different platforms. So, I mean, give us all the details. Where do you even start? Do you start with one piece? Do you start with multiple? Give us the goods.
Yeah, I think right away out the gate, so many people are confused with the term repurposing content because they think it's just, okay, I did this content in October, it's April, I'm just gonna repost it. And I'm sure there's people that do that. And I don't judge anyone on what they're doing. I just know that that's not what it means to me. And I look at 20 years of being a teacher. When I would come into the classroom, it would be great if I just walked into the classroom and said, okay, guys, here's the lesson. Maybe I did a PowerPoint or whatever the lesson it would be. And then I would leave that day. And I think it would be really, really silly for me to think that after I taught that lesson one time, they would soak it all in, they would know it, they would understand it. And then, I would have a test the next day. That's silly. No one works like that. And we know that on social media, especially, on Instagram, on Facebook, actually any social media, really, it doesn't matter really how many followers or people that you have in your audience. They don't all see your material when you post it. That'd be great if they did, right? You spent all that time on that carousel and then all of the members of your audience saw it and then you don't ever have to talk about it ever again. No.
Yeah.
So the way that I used to see it was, on a Monday, I would come in, let's just say I was talking about, healthy food choices, for a teenager, because I taught teenagers. And maybe I talked about that was the education piece. And then maybe the next day I came in and it was more of a conversation piece. We did a review, but then I said, okay, what are some ways that you can go to the grocery store yourself and, put groceries into your basket that would feed your body? What would be examples that wouldn't feed your body? And then maybe the next day we would come in and we would do something different, but it was always coming back to talking about that particular theme. Yeah. So the reality is that what I taught on Monday just got dispersed throughout the week, and we continued to talk about it and dive deeper into it. And the reality is that not everybody consumes our content the same way that we create it. So I might make a carousel post that I've worked really, really hard on. And typically my carousel posts are educational in nature. Most people's are. Some people do digital storytelling through that as well, which is super cool. I one day would love to learn how to really do that effectively. I'm just not there yet. But if they, consume that in one way, they might go, okay, I really understood that. Then there's people that look at those carousels and go, I don't understand this at all, or I don't resonate with this at all. They're more of a visual learner. So maybe they prefer video, or maybe they prefer an infographic, or maybe they prefer a list post or checklist that they're like, okay, I can save this for later because this one really resonates with me.
Right.
I think for me, understanding different ways to teach has really helped me with content creation with my audience on my own platform, but also with my clients. And that in turn has allowed me to save time.
Yeah.
So managing all these clients, I can't create new content all the time. Better yet, I can't, it's not like I oversee veterinarians, I oversee therapists. I'm not a veterinarian, I'm not a therapist.
Right.
So I have to take what they've said in a blog post, for example, and then that's where I start, is really I start initially on one piece, what I call as an anchor piece of content. So I guess the next part is, once you realize that repurposing isn't just copying, pasting, and that's not what it is. It's about creating different content that is somewhat similar for your audience, so that you can further build the authority and your expertise, and also build consistency and clarity with your message as well, which is key, right? Like if I started talking about dogs on my feed tomorrow, you'd probably be very confused.
Very. I mean, I wouldn't be mad about it because I love me some puppies, but I'd be like, Michelle, what's going on over there? I love that you also said that these pieces of content are for different audiences. Even though we are after the same ideal client, there's so many different ways that they consume content. Whether you said it perfectly, they like it in a video because they're more visual, or they like the infographic, or they like a carousel, they like, whatever it is. That really is the epitome of repurposing in so many different content types. So I just wanted to highlight that piece, because that's really an important factor when you're thinking about, you made this one piece of content, which could be a carousel, but think of how many different, maybe you make a bunch of different reels just from that one carousel. So go, didn't mean to cut you off, but into your anchor piece.
But that's just it. Before you and I were chatting, I was thinking about, what I was doing this week. And I thought, okay, well, how am I going to make some reels out of this? Because I feel comfortable on reels. I know you do. And I absolutely love your reels. You always show up as yourself too, which is amazing. And that's probably why people resonate so well with you. And so it's about finding what I can take from that and then repurpose those into reels. Because again, right now, reels, the reach on reels is much different than it is on other pieces of content. So it's important to use that in your strategy, but you can take what you've already created and repurpose that into reels. So for example, the post that I did today, which was about 4 brilliant ways to repurpose social media posts, I can do a voiceover. I could do something funny, like I really like Schitt's Creek, so I could do something funny.
Same. I love Schitt's Creek.
So a lot of you would see, so when I do GIFs and memes, they are normally Schitt's Creek ones, and Kristen Wiig, because I'm a huge fan of Kristen Wiig. So those are kind of my go-tos. And then, or also maybe finding some trending audio that's working. I think I did a trending audio on Friday. It was that Drake song that was trending, and it was about repurposing reels. And then I just actually repeated it because that's the trend.
Right.
And that performed really, really well, which again, didn't cost me a lot of time. And it was something that if you didn't have, as a small business owner, which is my target audience is a small business owner that's wearing multiple hats, that just does not have time, but knows they need to be on social media. So this really, really fits well. And okay, could you create multiple reels? And I know you batch your reels as well. So could you batch your reels based on the content you've already created? The answer is yes, it really is. So it's great.
Absolutely. I probably could be a lot better because I'm so reels focused. I could definitely be a lot better at repurposing those reels into infographics and carousel posts. I see you nodding your head. You're like, yes, sister, yes. I know I've been trying to get into, because I love carousel posts. I'm looking at your Instagram feed right now, and the 4 brilliant ways to repurpose social. I'm like, oh, I could devour that so fast. Like, it's so funny that I am so reels driven when it comes to creation. Me absorbing, I love me a good carousel post. I love the strategy behind it, first of all, but I love that it's so easily digestible with like little swipes. I can get the next like big point that you have in there. And that's definitely something that I could be incorporating a lot more from my reels.
I feel the same way. I love to digest carousels. I also love to digest reels, But the reels, I go on a little bit of a tangent. Next thing you know, I'm an hour later and I have saved 17 sounds and I haven't created any. So my consumption of them is not as good as my creation of them, if I should say that.
I think that's a problem for a lot of people, myself included. So you were definitely not alone there.
Yeah. So, so my process, once I create what I call as an anchor piece.
Yeah.
So, so an example is yesterday is my anchor piece of content. So you will see, or was it today? It was today I posted it. Sorry, because today's Tuesday. Normally it would be Monday, but yesterday was a holiday for me. So Monday, I would create what I call as my anchor piece. And so that's a carousel. Some people would create a blog post as their anchor piece. I know my clients do that. And that becomes my anchor piece. And that's where I create that evergreen content. So I read it, I then redistribute it into a carousel, which is a bit more easily digestible. So it's not as content heavy in terms of the text. So I try and keep limited amount of text on each. So each slide is a quick win.
Yeah.
I then will take that carousel and I will create an infographic from that or a list post.
Yeah.
I will then take that carousel and I will have my client speak on it in a video, a short form video, because all of my clients, their audience really, really like short form videos, like under 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So I will say, for example, my one client who's a veterinarian, we were just talking about the common parasites, and that was their blog. So I did a carousel post on the common parasites. Then I did the top 10 parasites in a list. Yeah. And then on Wednesday, they talked about why parasites can be detrimental to your four-legged furry companion. And they talked about the why behind it. So that was in a video. And then Thursday, I'm going to pick one of those. And now this is when I start to go a little cuckoo. So I'll pick one of those parasites and I'll pick it out and I'll go, okay, this is the one we're going to focus on today, about 5 things you didn't know about ringworms.
Oh my gosh, this is blowing my mind right now. I'm thinking I've been doing it all wrong. This is so brilliant, but it's so many pieces of content you've just created from one topic. I mean, it's a pretty broad topic, right? You have the blog post as your anchor, and then you're already doing I create the carousel, and then I create the list, and then I create, and even from that blog post, now you're even picking the ringworm.
Yeah.
So brilliant. And it probably doesn't take you nearly as much time as it would creating new content all the time.
Well, and again, like, I guess if it's you and you're the one creating the content that you know about, that's one thing. Right. But when you're creating content for professionals like doctors and therapists, well, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, so I can't start making things up. And I'm certainly not going to go searching Google because it's not from them. It has to come from them.
It has to be aligned with them. That's an important thing when you're working with other people. Yeah, that's a really important factor. I'm sure other people have come up upon that, and you just saying it too, is that what you're teaching, in the words of a doctor, has to be aligned with them, because it's not actually black and white.
It's not, and they could lose their license if they write something on there wrong.
Yes, right? Absolutely.
So it's very, very particular. And then Friday, I find on social media, and I don't know if you find this too, but I find people are they're not in the mood to be talked to. Like they don't want like long drawn out carousel posts.
No.
They want something that's going to make them laugh, whether that's a reel, although I find I can consume those any time of the day, any day of the week. But also I find that a GIF or a meme is much more consumable on a Friday. Yeah. So for my post that I was just thinking of my veterinarians, how we just kind of went through that motion. On the Friday, it was more entertaining. And so I would do, like, for example, what you thought the flea looked like and what a flea actually looks like, or this is what a ringworm, what you thought in your head, or, my face when I saw the ringworm for the first time, or something like, something that's going to like make people relate to it, or blah, 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 blah. But again, I'm still on that same thing where I'm educating, I'm inspiring, I'm again informing and educating. I'm
and you're entertaining too.
Entertaining somewhere along there.
Who doesn't like a good GIF? Who doesn't?
Right?
Come on. Is it okay? Now, the question of the century, is it GIF or GIF?
I always said GIF. But then people told me it was GIF. So I've been saying GIF. I feel uncomfortable saying GIF.
I know. I think it actually is GIF. I looked it up and it's named after somebody. And I was like, oh man, it would suck to have like created this thing and then everybody mispronounces it. Sorry, GIF, wherever you are in the world. Sorry.
GIF or GIF, like whatever. I know. And I always called it Giphy, because what's the difference between a GIF and a Giphy? Are they the same thing?
That's right. But they're spelled different. Oh, the mysteries of GIF, GIF, Giphy, Jiffy, whatever. I think Jiffy is peanut butter. Now I'm confused. Okay, we're digressing. We're getting off the topic. Okay, so I mean, when you're repurposing this, and I mean, what brilliant little nuggets that you are just like spilling all over the place. I'm gonna have to like go back and take notes after this and be like, what did she say? Thank God I'm recording this. But when you're then planning out your week or your month, are you saying that one blog post or that anchor piece, whatever that is for anybody, is that your anchor piece for the entire month? Do you change things up because trends kind of come and go? Like, I would love to hear how you kind of bob and weave a little bit, because we are trying to keep up with trends, but at the same time, we don't want to focus so much on that because then we lose sight of serving our audience. So what do you have for that?
Yeah, I think that's really good. It's funny because I was just looking at my theme week for next week, which happens to be about theme weeks or theme days or theme months. So I'm a big fan of having an anchor piece of content on the Monday.
Okay.
So whatever that theme is that week, is that I am revolving all of my content around that theme, whether it's a single image, whether it is a reel, but no matter what, that Monday becomes my anchor post. And if it comes from my client's blog post, that's great. If it comes from my client's podcast, which I have clients have 2 podcasts, and I will listen to the last week's podcast, and that what they were talking about is now my anchor piece on the Monday, which is a carousel post. All of my clients is a carousel post on the Monday, and then I extract from that, stretch, focus, dive a little deeper throughout the week. So that is how I move the weeks around. So for example, again, if we were to rewind a bit, so my one client who's a therapist, she just did a podcast on the myths. She's a finance strategist or a fee strategist for other therapists. So cool. She's amazing, badass. She was talking about the myths that therapists believe about setting fees on Friday. So now on Monday, I created a carousel post about that, and I'm diving deeper. So then Monday is my, 5 myths that therapists think about setting fees. And then on Wednesday, because we don't post on Tuesday for her, because we like to let that carousel really percolate in there. I find that it's just such a good job to let it live for at least a day.
Well, and it's also working for you because, and I'm sure you know this, but for those that are listening and don't know this about carousel posts, that will keep regenerating until some of your followers engage with it. So let's say that they see the first slide, like for you right now, Michelle, the 4 brilliant ways to repurpose social media posts. Maybe they don't engage with it and they swipe on through. Well, what's going to happen is then the next slide, and I think you have up to 10 slides each carousel post, correct? So you have 10 opportunities for one post to get seen. The reach and the impressions on that post are going to be significantly higher because it's going to keep showing up in your followers' feed until they engage with it. And by the time it catches their attention, now they're like, oh my gosh, how did I miss this? Go back to the first one. Now they're spending more time on your content. It's going to push out more of your content to them. So there is a strong strategy to be had with carousel posts, not just like, I get to put up more content there. It lives for longer. So it's actually really smart to have it on one day. And then the next day, you don't necessarily have to post anything.
Exactly. That is kind of what we do on a regular basis with all of my clients and with my content too, depending on like special days or whatever. But for sure, it's better to have it live. And every swipe counts, which I did not know this until, do you know who Dane Walker is?
I do.
He is, yeah. So I was in a clubhouse room and he ended up coming in and I was like messaging people, are you guys aware of who is in here? And people were like, oh no, who's Dane Walker? And I'm like, oh, you may want to have a peek at his Instagram. This guy is like the real deal. But anyhow, he came up on stage and he said, the thing about why he uses carousel posts is because every time you swipe, that counts as an impression and that counts as an engagement. Even though I never knew this, he said, so the more engagement you get, the more chance you have of being put on the explore page, the more reach that you're going to get through your content. Therefore, you are going to have more eyes on your content. At the end of the day, it gives you 10 opportunities versus one.
Yeah. Whoa.
I was like, did not know that. Did not know that.
Dang, I didn't know that. And I bet a lot of listeners didn't know that either. Maybe you did, and you guys are just way ahead of the game than Michelle and I, but wow, like I'm sitting here jaw drop, like what? That's bananas. Holy cow.
And again, I didn't know that. So I was like, okay, is this for real? And he said, that is how it works. It's basically, that is an engagement.
Yeah.
Instagram sees engagement, as you know, as whether or not it's a like, comment, share, save. But a swipe is also an engagement.
Yeah. And we always want to, if you guys don't know this too about your insights, your reach is not an accurate number. You actually want to pay attention to your impressions. That is a solid number of how many times your content is getting seen, whether it's on a stories, main feed, explore page, hashtag page. That's the number you want to pay attention to. I know a lot of people may work with brands or they want your, I don't even know what that page is called. Your, oh my gosh, what's it called? When you send brands your media kit.
Media kit?
Yes, thank you.
We both said it at the same time.
No, brain fart there, sorry. But when they send your media kit, they're asking for your reach, and it's actually going to be so much more helpful to send your impressions. Like, you guys want my impressions, you don't want my reach. My reach actually is not accurate. You want this. So just for y'all that didn't know that, you want to focus on your impressions, and it's always going to be significantly higher. And that's the number we like to see.
Yeah, and an awesome point as well. And when you talk about engagement rate as well, I actually use the impressions for my engagement rate, not followers, for all of my clients, which also leads right into what am I going to repurpose. So every Monday, I do my own metrics for my clients. I used to have what is it? IG Blades, Metricool. There's a bunch of things that can give you later. I do everything on later, but I don't use the analytics. I just look at the pretty graphs. They're pretty.
Yeah.
but the engagement rate, when brands are looking at engagement rate, they're looking at the number of followers that you have based on the number of content interactions that you have. But the reality is, that not all your followers are seeing your content, which is why we need to repurpose, right? So I take the impressions, the number of impressions per post, so let's just say it was 1,000, and we had 100 likes and 45 comments, 3 shares and 10 saves. Let's say that. I add all those up, I divide it by the impressions, and that number, that percentage, is what I use to guide me of whether or not I'm going to repurpose that post again for my clients. For me, it's a bit different because I'm on top of, I know what's really, really resonating well, and it's what I want to communicate. But it's a great way to do social listening with your audience. So I had a post from last week from one of my clients that did very, very well in terms of the engagement rate based on the impressions and the number of content interactions that we had. So right away, I highlighted it. I put it into a tab of repurpose. I'm like, okay, date, July 26th. This is what it was about. It was a carousel post. This was the engagement rate on it. And then I put it in 3 months later as making sure that we're going to come back to this in 3 months' time. So October-ish. Yeah. We'll come back to that. We'll do this one again. And that whole theme will be wrapped around that particular topic. Yeah. And we'll really, really pull from that. And then I just got a list of it going, and I just kind of plop it into my management system. I use Google Sheets right now, but it's just easy. Yeah.
Brilliant. Oh my gosh. I'm just like sitting here in awe, like, dang, This is just so organized
Aw.
and put together. You know, the reason why this works, and what I can already hear people being like, well, aren't you just repeating yourself? Yes, but no. Yes, in the sense of technically you are repeating yourself, but no, there are plenty of people that are hearing it for the very first time, even though you're repeating yourself. So you saying like you have a piece of content from July that you're going to repurpose and come back to in October, you have grown 3 months since then. You have a whole bunch of new followers that are seeing your content. You're also getting in front of the people that maybe didn't even see it in July. So yes, in all technicality, you are repeating yourself, but you're not, in the sense that these people have already heard it. Like we said at the very beginning of this episode, of people think that I'm repeating myself, or if everybody thought or everybody saw our content, well then great, we'd never have to talk about it again. That's not reality. That actually doesn't happen at all.
No, it
It
doesn't.
gets shown to a very small percentage of our following. So if we didn't get in front of them in July, we're going to get in front of them in October. So anybody that has that kind of resistance, or that almost like a block, or hey, aren't we repeating ourselves? Yes, but here's why it actually doesn't matter.
Okay, and to add to that, because you are
Yes.
1,000,000%, you hit all of the things that I talk about, and I think I've done that in another post. I may repurpose that.
Hey.
But we have the marketing rule of 7, which you kind of talked about a little bit, that people generally need to hear things 7 times before they want to commit to buy.
Yes.
Right? Yes. We already know this. Who are the people out there that go on Amazon that put everything in their cart and never buy any of it? I do that all the time. I put shit in my cart all the time. Oops, I swore. But then I say this story all the time to people when people say, well, am I not just repeating myself? And I'm like, okay, if you drive by McDonald's and they have 99-cent coffee on, and you drive by and they are advertising 99-cent coffee, you just keep driving by. The next day when you drive by and they're advertising and they've got people out front, or there's a beautiful little ad that's 99-cent coffee, you're not pissed off because they have now advertised they have 99-cent coffee. You're not mad at them. That's what they're doing. That's the whole month. They're talking about coffee, whether or not they're talking about it on their billboards, in their commercials, on their sign, or on the radio. They're always talking about that 99-cent coffee. Next thing you know, you're getting 99-cent coffee. You're not mad at McDonald's because you've heard it 7 times or 20 times. You're not mad.
Yeah.
It is a reality that people need to hear things over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
For it to stick. But people don't get mad at them because they've decided to not talk about it anymore, or to talk about it too much. They're not.
Right.
No one does that.
Isn't it so funny when we put it in those real life examples of going by McDonald's, and the next day you're not super pissed that they're talking about 99 cents. When we put it into that kind of story and paint that picture, it sounds ridiculous. And that's because it is. It's so funny when we get so up in our heads, and we get really weird when it comes to creating the content, doing the things, going into business. We just come up with these wacky, very irrational, unrealistic scenarios. And we're like, girl, do you act like that in real life? No.
And I also think it's because people think that they're going to get bored with my content. I sometimes think that. We all think that. We're like, I got to give them something new. Yeah. But the reality is people like safe. People like to see that you're showing up as you are, and they want to see that consistency and that clarity. It's the same way when you go to the same restaurant that you go to. You go there for the menu. You know what it looks like. If you got there and it had all new menu items on it with none of your same shit, you would be like, where's the sticky toffee pudding? This is what I came for. Where's my
cinnamon roll?
Heat it up with some ice cream. Where is that? You would be pissed. So when people come to my page, they're expecting to see social media content that's going to save them time. If they're a small business owner, that's what they want to see. But if I'm going to start talking about things that's not going to save them time, I've now lost my core audience that I have been serving for quite some time. And it's really all about, again, your ideal audience and staying in your niche and what's your zone of genius and coming up with different ways to communicate that, because you get smarter every time. Like that 3 months in, I look at that post and because the post that, I don't remember, last week, I think I shared a post on saving time. I had done that post before. It was totally different. I had done that post before, but this one was way better. It was way better. I'm smarter now. I learned some things along the way. The caption was better. The graphics were better. I think it just, and the numbers were better in terms of the insights already. And that's only a week, right? So.
Yeah. Oh, man, I feel like I could just pick your brain all the live long day. And I'm so glad we had this conversation. So many golden nuggets, like everything out of your mouth was just brilliant. So, oh man. I
and it's white wine day today, so I am going to have a glass of white wine. I normally wouldn't drink on a Tuesday, but I am now. That makes me feel good.
How did I miss this holiday? I'm gonna go get me one of them too. Yes, please. Oh man, Michelle, thank you so much for spilling all of your wisdom and all of your strategies and just kind of helping us to feel a little bit better about going into not only content strategy, but repurposing just kind of effortlessly. Like I am so inspired and so ready to go revamp like what I've been doing to work smarter and not stress out. Because I tell you what, even though I've been doing this for a bit, I still don't have it figured out. So just it feels good to know that there is light at the end of the tunnel.
It's funny because you, like when I look at your Instagram, it is like mesmerizing. It's so good. It's so fun. It's so relatable. It's educational. It's inspiring, all of the above. So it's funny that you say you like, I don't think about all the content you have.
I know, that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh my gosh, I've missed so many different, I haven't missed anything. I'm gonna need to correct myself. How many pieces of content I could easily repurpose and not worry about, because I will totally admit there are times where I get stuck in the loop of, I gotta have something new, I gotta have something different, and I don't. And this is actually something I do teach often, is you don't have to reinvent the wheel. And here I am sitting here like eating my own words.
I think we all do that though. I think that's normal. We all do that. I find that sometimes I will be on, if I'm commenting and I see something, my brain is like, and I'll mention to them, I'm like, this post is bang on. I love, the four, your 4 tips here. And then the caption is on fire as well, because I'm one of those people that reads all full captions. I know that not many people do, because I'm always wondering, like, did you read that caption? And when someone does read it, I'm like, you read my caption, amazing. But I will say to them, I'm like, this is amazing, blah, 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 blah. And by the way, this caption has repurposing written all over it. Repurpose that, please. Because the caption, sometimes people forget that. They forget the caption. There's the people that love the creation of the graphic, whether it's single image, reel, whatever. But then they put this value-packed caption in there, and then they forget about it. I'm like,
I think that's me. That's me.
There's so much. Yes, there's so much information in the caption that you can repurpose. I'm going to repurpose the caption today just for fun.
I'm going to go back on all the stuff that I've done, because I do put a lot of information in my captions, because in reels, you have to be really, I don't want to say careful, that's not the right word, but you want to be balanced, that you're not throwing so much into the reel that people are like, oh my God, that's a lot. You put it in the caption, there's a place for it. You're just trying to capture their attention in the reel, but I'm putting a ton of stuff in the caption. So now I'm going to go back on like all of my reels to look at what I did on my captions, and I am stoked. I'm so pumped to do this.
You've got so much content. I'm
ready.
And you know what? For the longest time, I think before the summer, I did one last Friday where I did a repurposing extravaganza where I said to people, just give me one carousel post and I'll repurpose it into 10 posts for you. And I think that it gets practice. Like I do it all the time naturally. But then once you do it, you pick one piece, like pick one of your reels and go, what can I do with this caption? What can I do with that? Right? Like I want to go to one of yours right now. Right?
So funny.
Let's just look at this last one that you did. What's it on? When reels drafts disappear. Yes. So that's huge, right? When they disappear, how many times has that happened? And you think everybody knows that. You think everyone knows how not to do it. So like your first post would be, a carousel post of 3 ways to ensure that your reels drafts don't disappear, right? Right?
That's it. Yes, that's it.
And then your second post could be a list post or an infographic. I see a list, and it could be like the 4 myths you used to believe about reel straps. You used to believe that. You're not going to anymore, because I'm going to teach you that you're not going to believe that anymore. Right?
Oh my Lord. Yeah.
And then Friday has to be a fun one. It'll be like me when I used to think reel straps were saved, me now. It's
oh my gosh, Michelle, this is like turned into such a great coaching session for me. And I hope everybody listening is like, hot dang. This is so good. I got so much more out of this podcast than I was expecting. And I am so thankful, so grateful for all of your wisdom.
You are so sweet.
You basically just gave me like an audit of one reel of like, hey, by the way, you could turn it into like 5 different posts. I know you guys can't see me for sound, but hopefully you can hear this massive smile on my face, because I am so excited now to go on all my old content and just boom, boom. You guys are gonna see the shift once you listen to this podcast, and you're gonna watch my content. You're like, yeah, I know when it happened is when she talked to that Michelle gal.
Well, you have so much. So this is like such a good feeling when you have that much, right? Such a good feeling.
So good. Michelle, thank you so much for your time and all of your value and wisdom today. This is so good. Let everyone know that's listening where they can find you and potentially work with you.
Sure. Yeah. I'm on Instagram at Michelle Lange Inc. MiChelleLangeinc. And it's the same with my Gmail as well. And yeah, I'm on Facebook, but I'm mostly an Instagram gal. And I happen to be on TikTok with my best friend, and we are the Over 40 Winos, and it's Over 40 WINOS. And our brand is, we talk about wine, how much our kids drive us nuts, and no name brand chips. So
yeah. If I go to TikTok to go find that, that sounds like a great time.
It is so much fun. It is so much fun. We took a small little hiatus over the last 3 weeks, but we're back at it. We're back at it, and we're into creation mode, and we're ready to start, pumping them back out like we were before. So
thank you again so much, guys. Make sure that you're connecting with Michelle and all of her goodness. I mean, her account is value packed. So you are definitely not going to go to her page and then not leave with some kind of value or lesson learned there. So thank you again, Michelle. It was so great having you on the show.
You are very sweet. Thank you so much, Mandy. Take care.